Markets finished relatively flat. Bitcoin finished up on the day, shaking off the Binance SEC lawsuit, as well as the Coinbase lawsuit that SEC came out with today. Let's jump in and take a look at what's going on. Breaking news right now, 4:50 Eastern Standard Time. The SEC asks for an emergency order to freeze Binance U.S. assets anywhere in the world. The Securities and Exchange Commission filed an emergency motion in Washington, D.C. federal court Tuesday evening, asking for a judge to freeze Binance US's assets and repatriate those held by customers on Binance's US trading platforms. So we'll see how this all shakes out as this saga continues to unfold with Binance and the SEC, and now Coinbase being sued by the SEC as well. A little different than Binance, no commingling or fraud, just operating or listing registered securities as tokens on their exchange for sale, things like that. The ongoing stuff that's been happening with Coinbase. And then, of course, several states have come out today and issued a cease and desist against Coinbase in their states. So things are heating up and getting interesting. And but so far, the crypto markets are hanging in there. Stock markets finished flat today. Not a whole lot going on there. A lot of debate over whether the Fed's going to hike or not next week. Right now the consensus in the market seems to be that they will not hike. So it'll be interesting to see if they don't, or if they come out and surprise the market with a 25 basis point rate hike, which isn't a big deal anyways. But right now the market has repriced no rate hike into the equation. With the economy running hot, job market running hot, inflation still high, the Fed, whether they pause this time or not, right now, definitely doesn't seem to have completed the task yet. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. In other news, tonight there will be a Twitter Spaces at 7 p.m. I'll be on there with Gareth Soloway, Gary Cardone, Grant Cardone's twin brother. If you've never seen him, he's in this picture here. He looks a lot like Grant Cardone. It's really interesting. Travis Kling, David Lynn, and Dave Weisberger, all tonight with Jessica Haley moderating on Twitter Spaces. Go check me out on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Check into the Spaces tonight. We're going to be talking about all of this SEC stuff and what's going on, as well as other things regarding Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And, at the end of the day, this is all a good thing. We'll get to that in a minute. What the market really needs is regulatory clarity in the United States to keep innovation here, to keep companies here, and to keep the market growing and getting stronger. But we also need to get rid of the illegal operators and illegal operations. Of course, even in traditional markets, there's a lot of illegal activity going on there, a lot of manipulation, a lot of fraud, things like that, but not as blatant and open as it is with cryptocurrencies. And we all know, the allegations against right now, there are allegations against Binance are most likely true. We know they wash trade. We know that they, have been doing a lot of different things, illegally. So, they're just going to have to end up, we'll just see where it ends up. No criminal charges have been filed at this point. There is a possibility that may be the case. But right now, here's Bitcoin. Again, I have not touched this lower trend line since yesterday when it tagged it yesterday. And then today on the low tagged it once again, just kind of perfectly respecting this trend in this channel. And the thing is, it can follow this channel for quite a while and continue to work its way while all this stuff is going on, and just kind of work its way, to the top and bottom of this channel and drift along for a while and just kind of wear people out, right? So there's no telling how long this could all last with the seizure of Binance's assets. If liquidity becomes an issue, we'll just see what the effects, that will have on the market. We take a look at the hourly, on that announcement, price has reversed here with that announcement of the freezing of the assets. So, liquidity could come into question, but, they've been wash trading all day today to generate liquidity, so it shouldn't be a problem. That's kind of what pumped the Bitcoin price, was Binance trading with their own wallets. That's kind of what they're doing. They have their own wallets. They're trading against you. They have their own market makers. They manipulate. It's just stacked against you. And as long as you know that, then you know what you're dealing with, and you just play the ranges. But here's the Dow kind of, again, continuing to consolidate. Same thing on the NASDAQ. Everything just kind of stalling out right now. The interesting thing is the VIX all the way down to 1396. And again, we have not seen that level since June of 2021. And we know what happened after that. And then when you go back before that, you had the pandemic back in January of 2020, right before the pandemic, the VIX got down to 11. And those are, we're getting to some historical lows on the VIX right now. When you start getting down, 2006, the VIX got down to about 9 right before things started happening. And then right in here in 2008, 2009 timeframe, the VIX was right around that 15 level. So these are some pretty low levels on the VIX, not super low. Going back to 2018, the VIX got all the way down to 9 before ultimately skyrocketing and having a little bit of sell off in 2018. Then we had August 2015. All of these peaks here are your market sell offs. Right here was the pandemic, March 2020. This was 2009 on the VIX. So interesting price action to watch there on the VIX. The dollar continuing to range, stalling out. 2-year, 10-year, same thing, just kind of ranging and stalling out. Oil, just kind of hanging out, waiting for OPEC to do their thing. Don't know if that will affect oil prices. All of that's going to depend on demand. Gold kind of ranging again right here, just kind of hanging out. And I think the markets are just really all just kind of hanging out. So the interesting thing to look at is when I talk about, the market makers. So the price action on all of the cryptos, when you look at Bitcoin, especially right here today, last few days, you look at Ethereum, exact same price action. XRP, pretty close. Cardano, not quite the same, but in general, a lot of these cryptocurrencies, when you look, will have the exact same price action going on, at the exact same time. Solana hasn't rebounded. It had the drop just like everything else yesterday. Pretty much all of them dropped yesterday. Some have rebounded, some haven't, but, pretty much identical price action, across a lot of the different cryptocurrency assets through all the different exchanges. And, when you have exact price action kind of going on, that's just your indication right there, of what's happening out there. Same thing with Ape. Exact same price action as Bitcoin. A lot of the stuff's just manipulation. Some of it's automated trading, the algorithms and the bots and things like that. That's going on. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, to see what all happens, what gets exposed, whether or not Tether gets brought into this, and if any legal charges, criminal charges are filed against, CZ or anybody else in the space. Coinbase is very different, what's going on there. But like I said, this is a good thing at the end of the day to try to get some regulatory clarity, try to get some rules around the space. If it works out to where what happens is the exchanges can clean up their acts, pay some fines, we get rules and regulations put into place, and the junk gets stripped out of the industry, and the real good projects that file, comply, register with the SEC, things like that, can continue to move forward. And then, of course, Bitcoin is a commodity. Bitcoin is digital property, digital gold. So, no worries there from an SEC standpoint. And there are places where you can buy and sell Bitcoin without having to use, Binance or Coinbase, and, taking the risk with those exchanges from a liquidity standpoint, from a bankruptcy standpoint, from a seizure standpoint. So, but at the end of the day, if it's not your, if you don't have it on your own storage, not your keys, not your coins, as they say, but there are, outlets out there where you can buy and sell. Fidelity is one. They have a crypto, platform where you can buy and sell Ethereum and Bitcoin. They also store it for you. They have some insurance and things like that. Some other institutions are offering custody, for some of the investment banks and things. So there's ways to buy and sell Bitcoin without having to use the exchanges and taking that risk if you want to get exposure to the space, and that's what you want to do, because obviously crypto is here to stay. Bitcoin's here to stay. There is, a use case. There is a value case to be made, store of value ultimately at the end of the day for Bitcoin. Obviously some of the cryptos are more venture capital at this point and more, highly speculative. So these types of things are good for the space at the end of the day, to get all the bad actors cleaned up, cleaned out, get all the junk projects cleaned up and cleaned out, so that the space can continue innovating, continue moving forward, and we can continue to keep good companies, good projects in this country, and keep the entire space moving forward. So we'll see how this plays out. Could be months, could be years. Depends on how much, how much hardball the companies want to play and fight versus trying to settle this. And Binance has hired some of the top lawyers in the country to defend against this. And Coinbase, I'm sure, has a pretty solid legal team as well. So hopefully we'll get some of these things worked out so that we can clear the junk out of the space and get to the bottom and move onward and upward. So I will see you on Twitter Spaces tonight. Don't forget that, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go in there, join us on the Twitter Spaces, and I'll see you in the next video.